I lived with a serial killer. When I was a teenager, I dated a guy a couple years older than me. We'll call him N. He was always exceptionally sweet and will tell me how I deserve the world. We never really broke up. He will just move away and it will be agreed that we wouldn't date anymore. We would always end up connecting back with each other no matter what. This sounds familiar. Then, when I was 17, he went to jail for stabbing. I'm reading this wrong on purpose. His stepdad. We hadn't seen each other in almost a year at that point. Afterwards, he will never talk about it in detail. Like, you wanna know the detail? I will not wanna know. Please lie to me. But he would explain that he saw no choice at the time. His stepdad even went to his court hearings and stated that he wasn't to blame and that he made the mistake of cornering him in a violent rage. When he got out of the jail, he seemed to be a different person. Well, jail kind of does that to you. He was much more mature. He got a well paying job right away. Hmm. He discovered the love of cooking. He was clean and organized and well read. Someone used well the time in jail, so yeah. He looked up the first time he got back to town, and we slowly started developing a friendship and eventually started casually dating. He began staying at my home on weekends, and then after a few months, he needed a place to stay for a month and a half between selling his trailer and moving into a nicer rental. And things honestly seemed to be really good. We were talking about maybe moving in together, and he would hint at the idea of proposing. Then one day he started drinking again and became unsettling and weird. Almost immediately after he started drinking, he began lying, and I started to get the big heebie jeebies. Heebie jeebies. Uh, s- pron- I heard that before. Are you the same author? like, anyways, he will say he was leaving for work, but then an hour later, his coworker will come to the door and ask where he was. Bruh. He will say, sorry, when I would ask him about it, instead of calmly explaining that he was at his mom's on the way to work or something, he will storm off and ignore my calls for days. Damn. I immediately ended the relationship. Was a good call. Like, this man was going through some things. Um I immediately ended the relationship, telling him he could stay at his mom's until his place was moving already. A friend of mine came over to my house and helped me neatly pack up all his stuff, and we dropped it at his mom's for him. I can't tell you exactly why, but we also decided to put chain locks on the door that Anne had a key to. Because even though he had given my key back, I had a completely unfounded suspicion. Yeah, that man had offed someone in the past, so it's reasonable. I had a completely unfounded suspicion that he had made a copy without telling me. Sure enough, that night Anne came to my door without calling. That's a shocker. And without knocking. Bruh. And tried to let himself in. I had rested my skateboard against the door, so when it opened, I heard the crash. I heard him cuss under his breath and leave. Uh oh, that man didn't want you to know he was coming in. Like, I wonder why. The next day, I came home from walking my dog with a female friend who I had been friends with my entire life and would hang out with the both of us. And there was a picture I had pinned for Anne on the front porch of my house. It had blood splatter all over it. Dude can't take no for an answer. I asked my friend what I should do, and he was honestly kind of horrified. It was too big to fit in the garbage can, and I didn't want this blood covered painting just sitting around my house. Who does that? So later that night, we ended up burning it. I was about to tell you that. Burn it. Did I said stay there and look stupid? Burn it. If you know, you know. Um, in the outdoor fireplace. A few days later, Anne called me and asked if he could come over later and talk. I think it's talk. I said that was fine, and he told me he will be over about 7 p.m. I don't get it. Why do you want to meet up with this guy who tried to just be sure the police to be like somewhere and listening? Like that's not okay. At 8:30 he hadn't called or shown up. So I was sitting on my computer when I got a call from my aunt who had a police scanner and had apparently broken into a woman's home with a pew pew. And she had shot her own shotgun at him. The police eventually caught him running in the direction of my house. He was like, I'm gonna rob this woman really, really quick, babe. And then I'm coming right at you. So chill. Like, wait for me or so. I'm sorry, I should not laugh. But him came coming to you and be like, sorry, I got caught up. Well, you sure did. Oh my god. And had apparently broken into a woman's home. The police eventually caught him running in the direction of my house. That's good, he caught him. He went back to jail, but only for about 6 months since they couldn't find the gun he had. And because the woman whose house he broke into didn't want to cooperate with the police, why? He ended up getting a very light charge. Around this time, I had started dating someone else. We'll call him S. And the very first time we were out around town together, Anne saw us and came over and ripped his shirt off, challenging S to a fight. S responded just by kind of chuckling in discomfort. That's a green flag. And we got back in the car and left. Like, man, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? Like, the fuck? This became a semi-regular occurrence, And then one night we were cuddled up in my living room watching TV, and we heard something hit the patio window really loudly. We went and looked around expecting there to be a bird or something, but we couldn't find anything. The next day, after S had left, I had gone outside onto the small patio, and in the light of the day, I could see what we had missed the night before. It was a bullet from a hunting rifle. Goddamn. It looked like it had been thrown at the window from over the fence. God damn. I ended up moving away and marrying S. And actually randomly showed up once when we were meeting up with an all around mutual friend, and it was pretty weird, but it was pretty a coincidence, okay? So we shrugged it off. A little while later and went back to jail. That's a shocker. That's not a shocker. For breaking into another woman's house. What the fuck? He was released after a certain amount of time after that as well. Then, almost immediately after his release, he was all over national news because he had been caught trying to kidnap what? Multiple children, going so far as to take one child, and I'm not reading that. Oh my god. And choke them until the father, by coincidence, found them and was able to pull him off him. Thank God. The boy survived, but he was unconscious for a while. He suffered no brain damage, but was pretty shook, and likely will be for life. After N was incarcerated for that, he was arrested right after his release for a murder of a woman in the town. We had grown up. This dude has issues. And several years earlier, because they had only discovered her remains, wishlist he was in jail. Whilst he was in jail. What? Details were never publicly released because the trial is still ongoing. Yeah, 5 years ago, damn. That's a lot. Um, but the rumor is that he broke into her house having been casually acquaintances with her and offed her, and then moved her body to a small forested area on a mutual friend's parents' house. He also allegedly offed his cellmate while he was in jail, but he was found not guilty because the jail mishandled a bunch of evidence and the prison guards mixed up their stories a bit, so the case couldn't prove he did it beyond a reasonable doubt. His cellmate was just a poor young kid, barely 19, in jail for theft. Of course, the kid should have gone to jail, but in no way should have been a death sentence. No way. While he's been in jail, he has apparently attacked multiple female prison guards by choking them. He was a danger to everyone. There are, of course, rumors around town that some other missing people were also his doing. Oh my god. And there's a bunch more true stories about women catching him trying to break into their house that never made it to court because they didn't know who it was at the time. So police had no one to look into, and they only realized it was Anne when his face became plastered all over the media. I often think of the fact that I intimately knew this person. I think you knew just what he wanted you to know. Like he had this mask on his face, and that's good you didn't stay for more. Like he will eventually let you know who is he. I felt guilty for not having seen the signs. Don't don't be. Maybe who in the right mind think that their partner could be a serial killer? Like no one. Other times I felt creeped out that I could have been a victim of his. Yuck. I feel like I somehow should have known that I was living with a potential serial killer, but until he started drinking, he truly seemed like a stand up guy that had made bad decisions and was doing his best to make a decent life for himself. Up until very recently, I never spoke about him or even acknowledged I knew him. That's good. Obviously, my husband knows, but he knows it makes me uncomfortable and we don't discuss it. I guess I just wanted to share this creepy encounter story here as a way to process it. And I'm glad you did because this was a hell of a story. And I'm so curious, who can this man be? I'm curious. But yeah, I respect that you didn't wanted to put him out there. I'm sure media knows, and that's crazy. Knowing that you've been in knowing this person for so much time, and like he's suddenly you suddenly realize that you didn't know him at all. Like you are a serial killer now. What was that? Who are you? I'm sorry. So thanks so much for watching me, and if you like the way I narrate, please like and subscribe, comment who you think this serial killer is, and what do you think about this story. Stay safe. Bye.